So good morning or bonjour, and thank you for having me here. I am Mark from TRENDRR, at Mark Ghuneim, if you need to @ me for this. So I'd like to talk a little bit about social TV landscape, how it relates to branded entertainment, and how this whole convergence marketplace comes together in our eyes. So I think this is a transformative trend, and I mean this because it came up from the ground naturally. It wasn't dropped down from some encumbered corporation saying that they really need to do this new technology. It came from the streets, it came from people using Twitter. It was people seeing something, feeling something, and then saying something about it. So it's transforming because it's a natural user adoption, as I was saying. The growth in the networks and the brands are all driving it. Also, the platforms are adopting. So the amount of smart TVs, the amount of devices, the amount of iPad adoption is all contributing to this factor. The evolution of audience measurement has changed. It used to start with diaries and boxes. Now we can look at this real time and really understand it as it happens. And certainly the engagement around programming and what I'm calling electronic programming guides can now be socially informed, so the shows that you care about. Extends the opportunities to drive branding and commerce. So where's social TV in the Gartner hype cycle? It's way down there in the left side. I think it'll move through that valley of disillusionment, as they call it, pretty quickly for the reasons I said, the amount of iPads, smart TVs, and the adoption of these things as they happen, as well as the natural behavior. We look at the marketplace in 2011, it was pretty nascent. There was a few verticals and a bunch of companies. I look at this marketplace now and it's exploded. What's interesting here is that we've seen incumbents and older institutions embrace this, as well as new startups at the same time. So baselines, 2011, as we were measuring TV and engagement around television, it was really around volume and velocity and just basic baseline measurement. As we get to now, we can not only start to understand the audience, we can understand if they're influential, we can start to pull out real-time trends and themes, and we can start to really get to actionable insights when this stuff actually becomes meaningful, right? But as we get ahead, we can get into some really interesting things in 2013 around predictive and a whole advertising optic on it, and I'll speak a little bit about that in a second. I forgot I have to fly through this, so one of the reasons I care about this is Gartner talks about this as the infotainment $3 trillion marketplace by 2015. That's mobile, that's content, that's devices, that's all the things I'm talking about. The reason this stuff will have meaning is because of you, people, the social aspect. A smart TV is not smart without social. Social brings smart TVs meaning and context. So I didn't even know I had this slide in here, but great. This is the different type of TV guides you might have, the top 10 shows that your friends care about as you're watching them. Bigger, helicoptering up, this marketplace was passive, like Doug's slide with the people around the TV, but it was social. Now I see it as persistent, so full-time connections as it's happening. Where it's going, perceptive, which is where it gets exciting, okay? Your TV knows you, the experience knows you, it knows your graph, it brings up your DVR, it brings up your shows, it's meaningful to you. We work with a lot of companies in the marketplace, both from the supply side as well as the networks and the studios. We do two things really well, analytics and curation, and I think I actually have the wrong deck up here, but we're covering it. Analytics is measuring engagement around TV. Curation is being able to activate these experiences. This is what we produce every day. We provide the top 10 shows on TV based on engagement. In America, we just launched a UK version of this, and we're slowly rolling it out now. You can not only see that we're tracking the shows as they happen in their time box, but we're also looking at the breadth of activity around the shows full time. I think this is critical because content creators and networks will leave a lot of important, valuable, both money and data on the table if they don't look at the breadth of their brand 24/7, 365. You could really get in tight on these things, break them out by what are the networks, the social networks driving these conversations. In America, a platform called Vigil launched about 2 months ago. It was not even 2 months in, and now it's driving some significant numbers around shows. We can also look at audience influence. So if all audiences are alike, how do we separate them? And we can do that through both segmentation as well as saying this audience over indexes in celebrities or influential people. This is a quick look at year-over-year broadcast versus social. In prime time, 194% increase from year over year. That's a significant growth, and why, again, this is a transformative trend. If you look at different shows, this is social activity for NBC, and when you look at it, you can see that year over year, red being 11, yellow being 2012, the engagement around the show has increased radically. The Voice was the driving factor for overall NBC. If you look at that same show against its competitive set in Nielsen, and then look at it as it over-indexes in social, if you're buying television, if you're valuing your media, if you're doing media planning, if you're doing any of these things, you need this optic to understand what you're buying. So sports is the biggest genre that does sync and accompaniment, but reality, comedy, and drama also rule. We can also measure, as it happens, characters against the timeline of the show and understand plot and character resonance, and brands can start to execute against that. I'm just going to keep going through these until I get to some branded case studies. So we can identify, this is a Vigo platform. You get points for watching something, but the points are not just points. You actually get to be able to get Starbucks cards and Apple iTunes rewards and real value. And it's ACR, so automatic content recognition, allows you to know that it was an empirical view, right? Not just anecdotal. We now see networks in America talking about their social engagement and understanding it really importantly through this way. So it's transforming advertising and getting into the branded content stuff. We can use it for targeting, obviously. We can use it for branding, valuation. Effectiveness is where I'd like to not look for it, because I believe effectiveness should be looked at in the sales of your product or tune into the show and not in the social space. And obviously integration and activation is where the branding content stuff comes up. So discovery and recommendation is probably the more important part of this whole trend. Shared viewing, deeper interactive experiences, bringing meaning, and extended narratives. So now we were just measuring TV by reach. We can now look at the additional lens of engagement for valuing this stuff. We feel social TV sits squarely in the middle of that engagement, and brand user and network opportunities exist there. So social TV is the change engine for how people interact with television, how people interact with brands, and how brands now can interact with people. Social data is the new creative. I think as I run through time, I just want to talk about one really important branded execution. We partnered with Twitter and the Weather Channel in America, and actually it just launched here. We had to take the 4 billion tweets that take place every 3 days. Then we had to actually narrow them down to tweets about weather, and that was a language challenge. For example, Miami Heat is a basketball team. November Rain's a Guns N' Roses song. So you have to really start to understand the language and then map it down to location. Citi sponsored the whole thing. The beauty of it is their creative was tell us your pound summer stories. Because they did it, it pushed into the 5 other platforms, and they got additional value as a brand. This drove 100 million page views this year. I'm going to go back 1 second. 100 million page views this year, as well as time spent on social pages were 50% higher than any other pages on that site. You can also use branded entertainment, and this is the Billboard Music Awards last month, the Latin Music Awards. We were taking real-time red carpet information, providing a leaderboard on the right. As people walked in, the host was actually using that as an additional host and feeding off of the real-time user engagement. I think that was brought to you by State Farm. Same thing for the Oscars. ABC was able to take a red carpet execution and have a real-time leaderboard that they used on air. But at the same time, they were able to do it online. They did it not only for the award show, but now they have a on the red carpet site where they're using this full-on 24, for the rest of the year. Brought to you again by BlackBerry. So that was a brand opportunity. So same for Bravo. We're able to take it social. I think that, these things are worldwide. We see the conversation taking place across all countries and all planets, X Factor, everywhere, right? And we can start to look at that. We're now not only measuring US, we're measuring UK. We're also started to measure all the video. So we talked about video and scarcity and what was the challenge about video. One of the things I think the challenge is nobody has context on that. So if you want to actually have context around video, you need to actually provide a chart and understanding of whether Lilyhammer is bigger than an AOL show or any of the Google channels. I'm not in sync with my slides here, but we'll go right through that. Big opportunities for the data, for the marketplace, and for the user, for the brands, targeting valuation. And I think this is a massive opportunity for the entire industry, and it is transformative. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to just move you to the front. Let's grab some questions.
Sure.
Thanks very much. Excellent job, Mark.
Thank you.
Are there any questions from the audience for Mark at TRENDRR? He went through a lot of great information there. Is there? Yes, at the back, sir. So what size of the market are your numbers coming from? How big is the market that you're talking about?
I think the overall market is the biggest question out there. So market sizing in actuality is really unknown. I think the Gartner number is interesting with infotainment being $3 trillion. Social TV has been cited from Jack Myers as, I think it was a 3, or I actually don't know the number he said, but this is a number that everyone's actually looking for is exactly how big the market size is.
So we haven't really found the number yet.
No, and I'm not sure if that's exactly what you meant.
What is your number? How many people are, what's the size of your marketplace? The people you're looking at, tracking?
Oh, I mean, the average show, I mean, a sporting event or any show on TV right now can have like 1 million or 2 million expressed intentions or conversations around the show as it happens. So I'd say, like I said, the year-over-year growth in this has been significant. The expressions around TV and the content is far greater than the expressions around the brand. That's why branded entertainment really has a giant opportunity here.
Do you think it's real? Do you think this whole idea of like engaging social on TV, are people really doing it, or is it just something made up that the ad agencies think that it's going to work? I mean, your numbers are very impressive, but you know, when you talk to people, they're like, yeah, I'm sitting in front with my iPad, and the youth are doing it, but the people that we really want to get to aren't necessarily doing that. What's your...
Well, your first point is critical, and that's a great question, because like if you actually want the next generation to tune in, you might want to talk to them in the place that they're actually getting their media. So right. I think just that reason alone is critical. But I think the numbers and expressions of intent, or somebody meaning something. I came from a music industry. It breaks emotional ground. So like this is the brand opportunity, is to understand this is stuff that happened naturally. It breaks emotional ground. People feel it and then say something about it, and that can give you the tools to better target, better build transmedia experiences by understanding exactly what's taking place.
People paid money to come here. Can you give them one thing that maybe not everybody knows out there that is related to TRENDRR, or the things you're seeing that they maybe should have in their strategies for next year?
I think it's taking a look at this big data and really understanding how to value your media, to target your media, and basically understand what the audience cares about. Because if you're not talking to them about what they care about, you're wasting your time.
Great.
And the data can show that to you in real time.
Thanks very much. Really appreciate it, Mark. All right.